All right, thanks so much, Stan and Nan. Thanks for the invite. Glad to participate and be a part of the MEF17 conference again this year. It's always a great partnership for the work that we're trying to do in this particular industry. So I thought an excellent opportunity for me to share with you some of the things that are taking place from a Verizon standpoint into the industry and the marketplace, and try my best to live up to that industry motivator comment there. I got a little work to do on that one. So today I'm going to spend a little time talking about industry trends, kind of our multi-year journey, kind of the evolution. Carol did a great job on that last panel. I always get nervous when Carol's asking questions because she digs pretty deep. And then a little bit about agile and orchestrated services themselves. But clearly it's a thrill to be a part of the conference and once again talk about what it takes to bring this ecosystem together. This is kind of my fourth time presenting at this type of event. And as I listen to my counterparts and some of the peers across the various organizations, it's kind of an eager opportunity to share with you some of the things that are going on in this evolving space going forward. Particularly within Verizon, I use this term, we're partnering for success. And we're really big about what does partnering for success mean in delivering the hyper-connected world. We're real big about delivering this promise of the digital world and what does it take to make that happen. Our mantra within the group is really connecting people, places, and things, simply, securely, reliably, and that's really the mission of the organization. How do we connect people, places, and things simply, securely, and reliably? That's going to really be the differentiator, really, for the things that we need to do on a global scale basis. So as we look at the work that's being done at MEF, particularly as we look at LSO and the work that's being done with our API infrastructures, we know that this is a preferable way for which we need to go into the marketplace itself. Just last week, my boss, John Stratton, our EVP and president of our operations group, he spoke at the Wells Fargo event and reinforced the message that Verizon is continuing its investment in delivering initiatives, first to include the rollout of MFE, pushing out the cloud to the edge of its networks, and new services like SD-WAN, in addition to the investments that we're doing with customer experience and online self-service tools. So that's coming from the top of the house relative to the importance that we realize that it takes to continue to drive what we're trying to do in this industry, and we clearly believe that MEF 3.0 is the enabler for making that happen. So with that, it's, we talked about it before, it's about a $300 billion kind of carrier Ethernet services by 2021. And as we see virtualization continue to play itself forward, how do we make certain that we continue the work we've done from an Ethernet standpoint, but beyond with some of the other services, be it SD-WAN, IP, wavelengths? What are we doing across the board going forward? We know that that's going to be very important to us. So let's talk a little bit about the industry trends at the slide that I have here. So if you look at this slide, it's kind of an interesting data point. As you think about some of the points here, clearly Cisco V&I report 2017 that said by 2021, there'll be 3.5 connected devices per person. And that's up from 2.3 devices when I spoke to you last year. So once again, you can see the push that's taking place relative to connected devices. But then the average broadband bandwidth at 53 megabits, which is up from 27.5 megabits per second last year when I spoke with you. And then last data point here is the 80% internet traffic that will be video, and that's up from 67%. So hopefully you see the trend, you see the theme of what's taking place here. More and more demand and more push for network traffic, and what do we do to make sure that we care for that? Clearly as we speak, the importance of a foundation of a network, and what do we do to deliver and enable advanced applications such as 5G, telematics, a lot of the work that we're doing in our space, cloud collaboration, and the need for more data consumption demands. And we've got to continue to play for that, particularly as we look at the ever-increasing need where everyone wants to be connected all the time, anywhere, any device in this new digital economy. And that's what we call the hyper-connected world within Verizon and delivering on the promise of this digital world. In today's world, no longer, we would say to you that it's a telephone line or a point-to-point connectivity. It's about changing the information and ideas, bits and bytes, using software, creating an environment which bits and bytes can be shared across the public as well as the private over our MPLS circuits, all determined by the needs of application development and applications that are going forward. We see clearly changes everywhere, and how do we make certain that we continue to embrace the change that's taking place in the network? Clearly, the way we deliver data is now being determined by software. programmed centrally rather than by local IT engineers that have kind of continue to move the local routers around. Indeed, we look at engineering job and the evolving environments that we're in, and the network is now making those type of decisions to upgrade and downgrade bandwidth and the delivery of a path for data based on the requirements of the data and the applications themselves. Last week, my peer in Verizon, George Fisher, who runs our enterprise, our large business segment, seeing the same thing that I'm seeing kind of in the global wholesale space that I represent. And he made a comment in one of the articles that he wrote there that, not surprisingly, if we look at the 7 trends in the enterprise segment, SDN was the first and the foremost one that we've got to get in line with. In there, he talked about SDN has lifted off, if you will. SDN deployments now live around the globe. Companies beginning to explore kind of really the idea of security, agility, and flexibility of virtualized network services. And then the next big thing is, hear this, application-aware networking. How do we go beyond the software-defined nature and virtualization services to the point where we have application-aware networking, managing performance and our capabilities in applications that demand more and more bandwidth? That's the push that we must continue to support and drive in the industry going forward. So clearly, it is a multi-year journey that we're on, and we're continuing to see across this journey. And here's a slide that I think really kind of outlines that stage. I see all the phones going up now, so you're going to hold me accountable to this. but here's the key. As we look at the evolution, clearly we see the change that's taking place. We've got to continue to manage the assets that we have in our network and continue to move much quicker and much faster. No longer is it like 40 years ago where it was all about voice, and really we had to kind of figure out how do we move voice when the reality of today is the whole data revolution that's taking place. The emerging software-defined, virtualized, and 5G, and kind of unfolding before us. And let's do a quick review if we think of the last few years. So in 2015, as you see on the slide here, we would mark that as the first year that we really saw SDN-based services kind of hit the marketplace. Kind of starting with software-based routing capabilities being commercially viable. Then Verizon kind of being one of the first providers of a global SD-WAN offering. In 2016, as you take this journey with me, we began to see more and more solutions, kind of moving away from a telecom-specific equipment to more of a standardized, open platforms with availability of white box, native-based solutions for routing, security, and optimization. By mid-year, we saw announcements of open platform-based solutions hosted directly in the network from both AT&T and Verizon. So we clearly understand this evolution and what we must do in the industry to make certain that we're doing the things to set up our future success. That brings us fast forward to 2017. Clearly, having deployed software-based solutions over open platforms is really the focus that Verizon is bringing to the discussion here with our MEF teammates. Clearly, the automation benefits that we know we must continue to drive forward, that this technology enables versus more manual interaction. Our experience in implementing kind of software-based controls from the basis of our input to what we're going to talk about here at MEF. Standardization of interfaces, we know that that's going to be the strongest play that we've got to do from provisioning as well as management going forward as an important component of what we must do to drive technologies continually as we see more integration of SDN-based solutions and services such as 5G. What are we doing with the Internet of Things platform, security as a service, and cloud-based services, even as we enable kind of smart cities and smart communities across the footprint. So as I look at some of the work that I know Verizon is kind of cheering along with the MEF team, I look at my partner, Mahat is here. Mehmet, I'm sorry, thinking about my other partner, Mehmet Toy. There's Mehmet, he's over here on the side, representing our global kind of products and services team. And you're going to hear from the work that he's doing around elastic E-line access, elastic E-access. And how do we continue to drive kind of the single portal interface and the interoperability that we need across multiple carriers. So Mehmet's going to drive more of that conversation later today. Recent announcements about our intelligent edge network, continue to design that path forward, and our wholesale SDN solutions, as we clearly believe that we're bringing the best of both worlds. One, clearly the power of the internet, but once the performance and the reliability that comes along with a private IP network as we see continued drive of growth in network traffic. And that's clearly the path that we see going forward here in the Verizon footprint. So let's talk about the path of interoperability today. And to kind of be clear on this particular one to everyone here, from my vantage point, if we look at the needs of our customers across the globe, and it's really the genesis for this project of interoperability. And Mehmet, as I said earlier, is going to spend some time talking and working with the team around what do we need to do to push more standards so that we're building this and we build it right the first time and give ourselves the ability to scale based upon the demands that we're finding from our user environment out there. The capability, as I said, on a single interface, kind of ordering to connect Ethernet circuits across multiple operators can clearly be staggering. But if we can align on the standards and interoperability nature associated with that, then we can provide the scale that the industry is definitely demanding and seeking from us going forward. Later today, my IT partner here is Scott Melanson. He's going to spend some time with some of the IT systems work that we're doing and really looking at the future and what are our plans to make sure we're automating and putting IT behind what we really believe we must do to pull out some of the manual piece and make sure that this is an automated end-to-end experience for our customers, because that is the only way we know that we'll be able to scale in this particular environment. So once again, push toward single portals, continue to understand that we got a change order process, and how do we continue to make a difference for the digital economy that wants us to be more agile, more assured, and more orchestrated in the delivery of the products and services that we put forward on the network. Next, I'll tell you a little bit about our Intelligent Edge Network. I know you get to hear some topic around this early today from some of my peers in the industry. But as we look recently within Verizon, many of you are aware that we just brought on Hans Vestberg, and Hans is our Chief Network and IT Officer. So we brought Hans on, and Hans has jumped right in and really pushed this data to suggest that we push the Intelligent Edge Network forward. And a big focus for him, particularly as we look at some of the densification work that we're doing with fiber, such as the work we've done in Boston, as well as out of footprint for us in the Sacramento area, enabling smart cities. And right now, we truly believe that SD-WAN is enabled to kind of the real-time intelligence as well as the analytics that are important for us to provide the flexibility that our customers are looking for in this particular industry. My colleague, Sean Hocko, is here, and Sean will participate on a panel later, really discussing more on this particular topic and really how we're driving the Intelligent Edge Network to make sure that we take advantage of virtualization and some of the software-defined networking activity that we have taking place. And beyond just the fiber and the software-defined, what are we doing from a 5G standpoint where we increase speeds and throughput and once again decrease latency, knowing that that's going to continue to be a must as we deploy beyond 4G to now 5G networks. Hans is real big on standardization. Clearly, he believes the wireless industry is where it is today due to the adoption rate and what we've done around standardization in the network. And he'll continue to push that message so that more and more consumers can access mobile technology, particularly as we see more moving mobile or more moving to kind of cloud-based solutions. And how do we make certain that our network can support that, realizing that with these network demands and the orchestration that we need to deliver, it's so important that you have a strong, better network that can support that going forward. And that's where his focus is. And clearly our belief from a Verizon perspective, be it SD-WAN or NFV, we believe that offers an opportunity to meet those challenges kind of head on and once again develop cost-effective, agile, scalable, and secure global communication platform. And that's really what it's about when we look at our mantra, connecting people, places, things, simply, securely, and reliably across the network. We believe that that's how we will continue to transform the industry and make sure that we take care of where people live, work, learn, and play going forward, particularly as we continue to migrate kind of our cities to make them smarter, reshape transportation, look at quality health care, improve education, reinvent businesses. Continually, this brings on new opportunities and scale for our consumer as well as our businesses in society at large. So with that, let's talk a little bit about our drivers in software-defined wide-area networking for wholesale customers. As I'd mentioned, I think just yesterday or so, within Verizon, we announced beyond what we were doing in enterprise space, but what we're doing for global wholesale customers relative to SD-WAN and the importance that we believe that this is a big push for us to make certain that we're continuing to connect people, places, and things, but once again, giving them the best of both worlds, once again, making sure that they have a strong network at the end of the day, but once again have the performance and the reliability beyond the internet for what comes from a private IP network. And we believe the strengths of that will take care of the next generation infrastructure that's required in software-defined networking. Continue to push this digital transformation so that we can deliver the promise of the digital world. Right now, we know that WAN growth, bandwidth demands have increased 30% year over year. So how do you keep up with that growth in bandwidth? Mobile devices continue to drive apps and data to the cloud, dynamic and unpredictable traffic patterns, and then rising security threats. And how do you make certain that you're delivering those services? And once again, we believe that SD-WAN is the way that we'll do that for our enterprise and our wholesale customers. And once again, the industry has moved from a static to more a dynamic services model. And I know Greg Harris from Verizon will be attending a panel to really discuss about kind of from our global Ethernet team, the work that needs to be done in this particular space to make certain that we're delivering the solutions that our customers are looking for. It's just that important to make sure that we're doing that. Continuing to look at SD-WAN solutions, we know how important this is to make sure we're driving this in the marketplace. Clearly from a transport independent standpoint, that's what our customers are telling us. Our application optimization, continuing to see more and more applications being developed on a daily basis. And how do we support that across our networks with the right quality of service? Our intelligent path control, continuing to support policy-based routing and our dynamic path selection. And as I said earlier, this secure connectivity, the importance of intuitive, scalable VPN solutions connect our remote sites and kind of ease going forward, knowing the importance of AES encryption and that we maintain our data privacy going forward. So that's important for us, and you'll see us continue to invest in driving that, and once again, bring our experiences, our best learned practices of that to the MEF forum discussions so that we can continue to scale and meet the needs of this growing customer segment that we're dealing with. As I outlined, transport independence must drive the applications. We know that application optimization is going to be a big plus. Continue to drive our intelligent path control, and as I said, security, security, and security. So important that we make certain we're driving that in this particular industry going forward. So as we look at Partner Solutions, the group that I run, Global Wholesale, really dealing with the community of customers that we have, we're continuing to push because we know how important it is in this global economy to show the resiliency that we have secure and reliable networks. We must continue to push for market competitive pricing. The more we can be standards-based, continue to follow the system that has been put forward with MEF 3.0, where we continue to understand the interoperability nature and what that provides from us from a scalable standpoint, and continue to look for the optimization that we need to drive to derive a global reach across the 2,700 cities across the globe that we represent and over 4,000 customers that we represent across this type of a footprint. And then self-service. Continue to invest. As I said, Scott will talk more about the tools that we're investing from an IT standpoint to make certain that we have an ease of use and a more of a self-service type of approach going forward for our customers in this particular space. So with that, I want to thank you so much for your time. I think it's important. Matter of fact, I know it's important. You've taken time out of your schedule to kind of spend some time working through this. Just know in closing, we're proud to be a part of the work that MEF is doing. We're continuing to back our investment here at Verizon. We'll enable our customers to partner for success as we continue to make certain we're caring for this hyper-connected world by delivering on the promise of the digital world, once again by connecting people, places, and things on a simple, secure, and reliable basis. Thank you so much, MEF team, and I give you back 1 minute. I've never done that before, Stan.